Welcome back to the Heart AF podcast. I'm your host, Chelsea Van Busker. I'm a wife, a mom of three, and a recovering mother hustler on a mission to help millennial moms break free from burnout and reconnect with their feminine power. This show is all about healing, spiritual growth, boundaries, and creating a life filled with more joy, ease, and freedom. On today's show, I'm sitting down with Heather Posey-Ware. She is a longtime friend and colleague of mine. Heather is a spiritualist and a very talented medium. Today, we're taking a deep dive conversation into soul contracts and free will, releasing guilt, grief without self-punishing, addictions, and learning to receive love. This conversation gets personal, touching on abandonment wounds, testing love, divorce, and the courage it takes to choose the life your soul is asking for. Are you ready? Let's go. Hi, Heather. Thank you for being here. I'm so happy. Oh my gosh. Okay. I love you so much. And you're always just so amazing to talk to. And I feel like every conversation just brings so much value to my life and to my experience and my spiritual journey and everything like that. What I think is really cool is one, how we even came to know each other or learn about each other. I think that is amazing, right? Just how people come across your path. But what you just shared about your email, I think is so interesting because that's something that I've also struggled with too. It's like, I feel like you had this kind of heart's desire or this feeling of like what you want to do. And then there's this journey of figuring out what exactly it is. And I think for us on a human level, we want to know the plan. We want to know what to do. We want to know how it's going to happen. We want to have everything planned out. But Spirit's like, oh, no,
That's something that literally I explained to a client yesterday. She was asking some really hard questions about her marriage, but there were still some free will choices that needed to be made.
right.
And Spirit only would give me like, okay, she has this option or this option, but I couldn't see beyond that wall.
Yeah.
And so I just, sort of carefully and gently explained to her that you have some choices in this matter. And it depends on how much work you want to do and how much you want to heal. And the beautiful thing in that is that your spouse has come here as a soul to help you in this journey of your own healing that spans multiple lifetimes. So in this life, you only have this tiny picture of what you're looking at, and you only got it just now. So what do we do? And that is a compliment to the soul, the plan you made as a soul, and the plan you have right now to go ahead and finish that healing. Because she was really leaning into, I want to do my work. I want to do my work. And so now we've just now got the definition of what that work was. So sometimes I do think that we can sense something coming down the road, not exactly understand it or really be able to forecast it clearly, but we know something's coming. And then when we get to it, we're like, oh God, here it is. What do I do?
Yeah.
What do I do? What choices do I make?
Yeah. No, that's crazy. And I mean, even just like you having this thought about your email address, you had this idea in your head, right? Of like, I want to have
But I had no idea how to execute that.
yeah. And then here you are now, like however many years later, you have so many people that are coming to you for that guidance and for that insight and that help and that, that
And they're not
bridge
just
to-
college students.
Right. Yeah. You have
Like I
helped
really
so
love,
many
I
people.
really love the age group of 18 to 22 because I think that if you can intercept those guys that early, then you really can help them heal faster.
Right. Yeah.
And, it wasn't until I got into college that my own healing journey really was able to breathe, get air,
Yeah.
and, for real. And college was such a beautiful space for me in learning to grow and become the person I was going to become that I really feel like if you can get to people in that arena and say, okay, what are you going to do with your life? Live your life on purpose. You can do whatever you want to do. Just make sure you're doing it intentionally.
Yeah. But no, I think that it's so needed. And I remember we talked about that in our last conversation was how you really want to aim at that age group because they are so like malleable still in that state. And they're about to like step into that journey themselves. And if you can catch them, like you said, then it saves them a lot of pain and suffering along the way because so often we can start going down a dark road. And there's some people that don't ever recover from that. We've seen
That's
that.
correct. One of the things we know about addiction too is that a lot of guys pick up their addiction in college, drinking in sororities and fraternities and whatnot. And I'm not dogging the Greek life system at all, because I'm sure there's a lot of students that don't drink and make that conscious choice not to do that. But, if you can catch them when they're living in the world of anxiety, because college is certainly anxiety provoking, if you can catch them in that space and help them start to understand what their wounds are.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the biggest thing when you're young is that you've just survived your childhood and you don't even know what your wounds are.
Yeah.
You don't understand that everybody didn't live the way you lived when you were a kid.
Yeah.
You don't understand that other people had it different until you get out in the mix and start seeing all these different people from all these different backgrounds. So I think that was also helpful for me is to just be able to see exactly how many people had wounds. They may not have looked exactly like my wounds, but they looked a lot like me. And so
Yeah.
I went through this period of like victimhood, right? Like we all
Yeah.
feel sorry for ourselves, even in the day to day, like, you try to get tickets to a concert and you can't get the tickets and you're like, oh, woe is me. I'm the victim. It's,
Yeah.
I'm just a simple example, but we all use that style of thinking. And so when we apply it to our own lives and we put ourselves in this, well, this happened to me, so therefore I can never be or have or do what I want to do, then you are cutting yourself off at the legs for the rest of your
Yeah.
life. You
Yeah.
have to be able to see that growing isn't finished ever until we literally transition back to heaven, or
Yeah.
the life between lives. Our
Yeah.
growing does not stop
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
soul. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and
So
I
you
think
might
that's
as well
hard.
start early.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah.
You
But
might
I
as
mean,
well
I
start
think
early.
that's so needed because I think, we kind of have this idea of like, once I get X, Y, and Z, then everything will be great. Or like we kind of feel like
Yeah.
there's like this ending point, or once I know this, or once I have this, my life will be complete, or I'll be happy, or whatever the story is. But like you said, I mean, there's always more to learn. There's always
Mhm.
more to go through to expand. And like you said, we keep going until, this life is over. So
Mhm.
I think that's important to know, to just keep expecting that there are things that are going to come up, but they're all, for you. I like how you said too about, I think that's one thing that gets kind of convoluted sometimes with a lot of other spiritual teachers. I do believe that everything happens for a reason, that we have kind of a soul's purpose. Like, I definitely believe that. But I
Sure.
have another teacher who is like, absolutely not. I don't ever teach everything happens for a reason. And I get where
Mhm.
she's going because there is that
Mhm.
free will. But for me
Mhm.
too, I feel like there was somebody who once explained it on a diagram where it's like, you have this timeline and it's like you
Mhm.
have all these choices along that timeline.
Yes.
So it's like your free will decides where you go, but generally
Yeah.
speaking, you're going to end up where you need to
Right.
be,
Well, the way I see it is
but
like, do you remember those books that we got as kids where you could read part of it and then it said if you want the villain
oh,
to jump off a
yeah,
cliff,
like create your
turn
own
to this
story, like
page.
go to this page. Yes, those
So
are
I
so
do
fun.
think there are certain events that will happen, right? So, like, if we want to talk about, let's say you have a journey, and like your father, even to become part of your soul contract is to become dependent on other people,
Yeah.
then there are things that will occur to make that happen,
Yes.
right? So, how you get to that place may be you may have two different or three different options,
Right. Okay.
but you're going to that event.
Yeah.
And so for me, like getting a divorce was on the timeline. How we got to the divorce was our choice. We could do it with hate or we could do it with love.
Yeah.
You could do it with bitterness and anger, or you could do it with strength, compassion, and empathy and a shared mission.
Yeah.
And so that right there, I think, is where you can, if you map out your life beforehand and you say, okay, well, I can finish here. But if I really want to do excellent, then I can finish up here. It's kind of like contracting for a grade in a class. Like, do you want to do C level work or do you want to do A level work?
Yeah.
And I think those are the kinds of choices that we have with regard to our soul contract and our lifetime and our planning. So then down here, we get all entangled in it.
Yeah.
We forget that it was even a plan. We start out with a baby brain and a body because we can't remember the answers to the test before we take it. So that's the whole point, is to get down here and to struggle in the big giant mess that is our lives. And we come in with a personality intact. We come in with a soul level timeline of experiences. And some of us are extremely old souls. And there are some spiritual thought leaders that believe that all of the souls were created at once. I'm not sure where I stand on that. And I'm okay saying that. I don't know. Right? I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
So if we get into the lifetime and we don't have knowledge of all these things, then we can really, really actually do the work and learn the real lesson. And then when we're proud of our own accomplishment, when we go back to the life between lives and we have our soul review and we're proud of our own accomplishments, then we can say, okay, I choose not to repeat that again.
Yeah.
So in my next life, I'm going to go move on to bigger and better things. And it's really about our own judgment of self. It's much, much less about any other figure in the sky judging us. It's really about the judgment of self, because when we get there and we see what we did and how we made others feel, then we go, oh, yeah, that was boneheaded. Let me try that again.
Yeah.
Or I did really great. I want to actually improve that and do more in my next life.
Yeah.
So we look at things down here as failures when really they're just kind of like classes in the life between lives. And we're grading ourselves accordingly down here. And we're putting all of that self-blame and all of it, carrying this baggage of guilt. And really that was designed for us to overcome, to see the bigger picture, to choose love of self and love of others the whole time.
Yeah. I think that's one concept that you hear echoed through many teachings or spiritual teachers or thought leaders. Like it's always about love. Like that is like the main lesson, I feel like, is that unconditional love for ourselves and for others, and how to, receive from others, that kind of thing. So,
and I can speak about this and I can definitely tell clients enthusiastically that this is what they should do. But when it comes to me doing it in practice for myself, I still struggle, right?
yeah.
And the most people I know struggle with that because we're so willing to let other people off the hook. The people we love, we are like, oh, no, don't worry about it. They make a mistake, they let us down, they apologize, and we're like so forgiving. And even if they don't apologize, we're forgiving. But when it's us, we will drag that guilt to our graves.
Yeah, it's very true.
We will hold ourselves accountable and drag that guilt to our graves. And we really have to learn that self-compassion.
Yeah. What do you think the risk is, or what do you see happening, either with your clients or even within yourself when you hold on to that guilt, or when you're struggling to let that go? Like what kind of issues does that cause for yourself?
If you can imagine like a bowl of water and you add 1 drop of food coloring to that water. So the drops of guilt will color everything they touch. For instance, if you have guilt coming from your childhood. So, okay, let me give an example. My mom and dad divorced, and you have this inerrant belief system that it must have been because of me. Maybe I was a bad child. And then you grow up thinking that, you enter the world thinking that everything you do, everything you try to ask for, every opportunity that's in front of you that you choose not to take because you don't feel deserving of it, all of that will be touched and colored by this inerrant belief that you brought from your childhood.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's a great analogy. I love that.
And the other one is about grief. So if, let's say, someone close to you passes away and you didn't make it there in time, or maybe you were in an argument with this person when they passed.
Yeah.
And that then creates this complicated grief where you have so much guilt surrounding their passing. And let's just say that you had every right to be upset and annoyed with that person because maybe they told you that you couldn't marry the love of your life and they made you feel bad for it. And then you did it anyway. And then they were mean to you about it. And that person dies. Why are you feeling guilty about that? You were taking care of yourself the best way you knew how in that moment. And we can't predict death. And so what I tell my clients is, look, if you had known that your loved one was going to die the next day, you would have called them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're like, well, yeah, of course I would. Okay, then stop. You can't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And you can't let this color every day of your life going forward.
Yeah.
What they would want you to do is love yourself. Now that they're in heaven, now that they don't have the anger and the ego and the jealousy or rage or whatever it is that they had on earth.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. Like when you really point out the real, people start to understand that, oh, forgiving myself is actually something I should be doing. Let me just logically think around that. And even if they can't do it that day, which, hardly anybody can. But even if they can't do it that day, then it plants a seed that they really should be aspiring to do that. Because it is something, if you do it right, it takes time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's just part of our healing, right? That's part of our healing process, kind of figuring out like where do these seeds of guilt start from? Where did this come from? What are the things that I need to let go of or forgive myself for? And so to not lead on to everything else.
Yeah. When I met my wife, there was no question that I was in big trouble. I was in big trouble. And I knew that I was still married to my husband. And even though the marriage was not in a good place, I still had a lot of love for him and obviously still do, but the marriage was bad. And so I met her and I had this undeniable connection that lit up my entire being every time I was in her presence. Now, sometimes it all wasn't a good light up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was a bad light up. And now understand that we had a lot of lingering threads from our last lifetime that we had to tie up. But one of the things I knew in the beginning was that people in my circle were not going to accept me being with a woman, right?
Yeah.
That going gay was not going to be looked well. I mean, I'm in the Bible Belt. I'm a Southerner, right? And I
Yeah.
also had never looked at a woman that way or looked at a woman that way. So I was really, really struggling on that level about what I should do. And then finally it won out. The heart in me that had always needed love went straight to it. So my father, who has never ever approved of anything I've ever done in my entire life, except the straight A's I got in school. That was the only thing that
Yeah.
that he really praised and like rewarded me for. That was it.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I knew that it was going to cause a big problem with the only parent that I had.
Yeah.
And I did it anyway because I had gotten far enough in my healing journey to say, I need love and I should not be punished for needing that.
Yeah.
You can't walk away from something that your soul really needs.
Yeah.
And that's when I tell people, I'm so sure of myself when I tell people, listen, if this is on your timeline, if it's meant to be, it will be. It'll be
Yeah.
really hard for you to run away from your soul lessons. And that's what I mean, because Jen and I, it took us 3 full years to really work out all the problems.
Yeah.
And then after that 3-year period, the day that my mother passed away, she showed up at my house. And that is the day that we began, that we really got all of this stuff behind us. And I said, you know what,
Wow.
I'm going to walk forward with this. That's a huge story that I need to tell. But if you haven't done your work, at least a little bit of your work, then when that thing comes, you're going to have to do it all at once because there's going to be no denying that you need to do the thing,
Yeah.
right? And so if the person who loved you shows up and you've got all this unhealed stuff in your past, you have to do the work in
Yeah.
order to get the thing that you need. And so a lot of times I tell people, like, when you meet a soul, you're kind of here and they're doing work and you're doing work and you're not exactly matched up on that timeline, right? And
Mhm.
then at some point you're going to be ready. And that's when you meet each other. Jennifer and I went to the same college, the exact same 4 years, and never met
Wow.
each other.
Wow.
Never met each other. We met each other when we were in our mid-30s for a reason, because we couldn't meet before that. I would have left every plan in the dust once I met her.
Yeah.
And our own plan probably wouldn't have worked out.
Yeah.
So the timeline is very important. And a lot of people really want something to happen on their timeline sooner than it's forecasted.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like, you can't skip all the stuff you need to do first.
Yeah.
I had to experience a marriage that was unsatisfying. I had to experience the birth of my beautiful daughter. I had to experience, losing the things I lost and gaining the things I gained and figuring out what I was worth before I even met her.
Yeah.
Parts of your struggle are forecasted ahead of time so that you'll be ready for the person that is meant for you.
Beautiful.
And our parents set us up for the journey, right? So I can look at my own childhood and I can say, okay, well, my mom was gone by the time I was 18 months old. She left. She was an addict. She died. She lived that way and she died that way. And I can say that, okay, well, my dad was a total he wasn't a happy man at all because of his childhood and things that he's endured, and that's the person that he is. And so he never really liked me. I think that he believes that he loves me, but he never really liked me. He never approved of anything I did or said or was. And so when it came time to marry, the first marriage, my father was like, I'm disowning you. He's too much older than you. You can't marry him. He was a white guy, right? like he was just older than me. My dad was like, no. So he disowned me. I walked myself down the aisle. The second marriage, I mean, it was like, I just wrote my father a letter and put it in the mail on my way out of town to go marry Jennifer. Like, I didn't put myself through that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I told him in the letter, I don't have to have your permission. I don't need your permission. I would like your love as a father because I am your daughter. But if you can't give that to me, here's what I'm doing, just so you know.
Yeah. That was really brave.
Yeah. But had I not done the healing work coming out of my childhood, I never would have been able to risk my one parent's wrath. So the whole theme is like, you don't have enough love in your childhood, right? And the love that you have is conditional, right?
Yeah.
So how do you, and so many people are in that boat, right?
Yes.
And so how do you take these conditional bits of love that you've been rewarded with selectively throughout your childhood, right? Randomly and selectively. You've been rewarded that way. So you know you can't disappoint your parents. And this is why I love to get college students, because they're just out of it.
Right.
Yes, you can disappoint your parents. It's not their life you're living. You're living yours. And
Yeah.
it took me so long to understand that.
Yeah.
No, Heather, this is your life. You own it. It belongs to you. And what you make of it is on you. It's not on anybody else. So if you want to spend all this time feeling sorry for yourself, do that and don't get anywhere. Be
Yeah.
in misery, soak in it. But if you want to really be happy, do this. Upset the whole apple cart, turn everything over, light a firework in the middle of the sky. Because that is what brings you joy.
Yeah.
And if you can really be honest with yourself about what brings you joy, then you can help other people do that, reach that.
Yes. I 100% believe that. Absolutely.
There are so many self-help practitioners, I think, that still struggle with themselves, right?
Mhm.
And, if you look at the real helpers out there, they all have, like you and I do, a real personal struggle. We are pretty much all like, if I want to dramatize it, like my daughter's a drama queen, she's gonna win an Oscar one day. But if I want to dramatize it, I would say we're phoenixes rising from the ashes, because everything has
Right.
been burned to the ground and we are just picking up with what's.
Yeah.
And it's when you go through something so big like what you and I went through, then you can see other people in their moment
Yeah.
of need. You can actually see them. You're not just going, well, let me try to think of what that would feel like. You are
Right.
actually feeling it because you did feel it one time.
Yes.
And when you can sit in that moment with them, you can really help them. And so I think that we're called to do that. If you went through something, the highest calling is to fix your stuff, to heal yourself, so that you can take it forward and help other people do that same
Yeah.
healing work.
Yeah.
Because if you think you're alone in your suffering, you are madly mistaken.
Yes.
Everybody that I find, everybody has a point of suffering in their life.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's absolutely correct. And that's why I think it's so important to share, because there's so many people that don't want to share, who stay suffering in their silence, or feel like they're the only ones and don't know a way out,
Mhm.
or think that this
Yeah.
is just the best it gets, or, you get stuck in that victim mindset and all these things, and or holding on to the guilt or the shame or whatever it is, or not even being able to do that healing to come to that joy, or to make it known what they really want in their lives. Like, so many people will live that like watered down, condensed version of themselves because they're
Yeah.
too scared, or they haven't been able to do that work to really free themselves.
And here's the thing that happens when you do that. What happens is your soul doesn't shut up, right? Your
Mhm.
soul knows the freaking plan, and it is going to keep screaming at you, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're really struggling with what your soul is begging for and what you think you deserve in life, and you're sitting in this like trash basket of I can't, even though I need, or I want,
Yeah.
then you're going to start numbing the pain. You're going to start numbing your soul so that your soul can't be heard as loudly. And so when you look at addiction specifically, what I think about addiction is that their souls are screaming and they feel like they either don't deserve what their soul is asking for, can't have what their soul is asking for, or can't do what their soul is asking them to do. So the addiction just helps numb that soul that's going, stop the madness. We're supposed to do this. Like, get out of that job, or, go out there and find your wife. She's out there right now waiting for you.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you start to numb it. Yeah.
It's hard. And I think it's sad because we see so many people go down that road, and it's like you want to be able to help them and shake them and let them know that they don't have to suffer, that they do deserve love. And it's like, I see that I have someone in our family who I'm watching self-destruct, but just won't. It's just really hard to watch, because I can see on a soul level, I'm like, man, like you deserve so much more. And it's just really, it's hard to see,
Well,
the
and
constant
to be fair,
mourning
and to be fair to the whole concept of addiction, that is something that we can really only experience in the body, right? Only in a physical body can we experience the lesson of addiction. Whether it's addiction to food or television or social media or alcohol and drugs, only in the physical body can we experience that. And so for some people, that is actually their soul lesson. They put it on their timeline for a reason. I should go as far as to say, as everybody who is struggling with it, it is on your timeline. You were meant to go there. And when I help clients who are struggling with, that is what I tell them. Look, it was on your timeline.
Yeah.
So you're doing it. It's just that you can make it a short piece of your timeline, or you can make it a long piece of your timeline. Because I do believe we can speed things up and we can slow things down. Like, for instance, with my divorce, I could have gotten divorced 3 or 4 years earlier than I did, but I was terrified.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hurt anymore. I went through a whole lifetime of pain in my childhood, and I didn't want to create hurt, and I wanted to do it right. Now, ultimately, some spiritualists would say, well, you obviously did it at the exact moment you were supposed to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still feel like it could have been done a few years earlier. So
Yeah.
I really believe that we can run from things for a time, but we cannot escape them.
Oh my gosh, that's huge. Yeah. We can run, but we can't hide.
Not from
We
your
can't
soul
worry.
lessons.
Yes.
If it's
Yeah.
on your timeline, you're going to do it.
Yeah. Man, that's great.
And the thing that I really do actually try to tell people is this. Look, you got a hard lesson here, whatever it is they're dealing with. People don't come to me with easy shit. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
if you wind up with me, you've got some stuff going on. I'm serious. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get it's true. Like, if you wind up on my Zoom screen with me, you got stuff. And what I tell them is, listen, the very fact that you even took on a lesson of this magnitude means that you are a wise old soul and you're asking for lessons that are advanced, high level. It's like the difference between English 101 and grad school PhD.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of levels in between. And so you're
Yeah.
asking for an advanced lesson in a topic. That to me means that you plan this out going, yeah, I've already done all that other stuff. I've already taken easy street. I want to take the hard road this time.
Yeah.
So forgive yourself for being in this and know that it was your higher soul's plan for you to learn it. And if you're learning this, you need to start trusting yourself because you don't know baby soul has planned this. Trust yourself, trust your instincts, get out of the rut and go get the rest of your lesson
Yeah.
because it will get better. When people realize that they have been in control the whole time, it changes everything. I will never forget the time that it was after my mom died. And so I went to this medium and she was very famous and she had her own TV show. So I knew she was credible, right? So I wasn't going to just pay money to talk to anybody. I was vetting them, but I was like, well, she's got a TV show. She must be real. So I paid a lot of money and I had a phone call with her and she was like, well, you chose your parents. And I was like, what? I've never been more offended in my whole life.
Yeah.
In the moment that she said that I made that decision. Right.
Yeah.
And then when she explained, no, you chose them to line you up perfectly for the things you wanted to do, the lessons you needed to learn. You know, the villain in the story sometimes is our parents, and they're there for a reason. Have you ever looked at the story of a villain? They burn up in flames at the end, right? It's not easy on them either. They're making a huge sacrifice to be the villain in your story.
Yeah.
And when you can have knowledge that you helped plan it and gratitude for the villain in your story, boom, healing gets a whole lot easier.
Yeah. And
But
I think
that
you
is the
feel
real will.
powerful. Yeah. Like,
Yes.
you know, it gives you that sense of empowerment of like, okay, I have some control and responsibility on this, on how I handle this and how I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. If I want to swim in the victimhood, it'll take me 20 more years.
Yeah.
To,
And all
to
that
find my
suffering.
happily ever after. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like just you're keeping yourself in that suffering. And I think that's such a challenge. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to heal. It's hard to face this stuff. And sometimes it feels easier because it's what we're used to. We learn to expect this kind of suffering or these hard things. So we just stay in it. It's familiar. And so when things start going good, it gets uncomfortable and we're unsure and it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Think about this in terms of like, you know, people who win the lottery. Like what happens to these people, right?
Yeah.
If you win a whole bunch of money, your life, unless you're like really advanced, your life kind of goes to shit because you don't know, you're not there. You don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
You know, like, what do I do with all of this? And maybe you give it all away, which I think would be actually a kind of a good outcome, but you should keep some for yourself. You know, what do you do with a gift like that? And I think that you can really learn a lot about somebody based on what they do with gifts. Like for me, it was years before I could actually accept a gift in the right way, even a small gift. And my wife taught me, she was like, will you please just say thank you? Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, okay, just give me this. What do I start with? Just say thank you. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
You already deserved it or I wouldn't have given it to you.
Yeah.
So people who grew up thinking they don't deserve or they can't have, they don't know how to accept gifts. They don't know how to accept compliments. They don't know how to see their own beauty, their own wisdom, their own strength.
Yes. Yeah.
Somebody has to come along and just force it on them, like
I
my
know.
wife
And
did
it's
me.
hard. Yeah. It's funny because I'm definitely thinking of my husband and all the things that we've gone through. Like, it's been so hard for me to accept love. And I don't want to accept it.
100%.
I want to test it. I want to, like, do
Yes.
all these things to see if he's still going to stay. And then when he does, I'm like, what's wrong with you? And it's hard for me to accept compliments. And my husband, he's always one, he's like, you can just say thank you. People will be like, oh, I love whatever you made. And I'm like, oh, it's this recipe I found here. Let me show you. Or, they'll say
Yes.
something and I'm like, oh, I got it
Yeah.
here. And he's like, just say thank you. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to give somebody
Right.
else credit.
And
Just
we
say
do
thank
over
you
explain. We do. I do. I still
all
do
the
it.
time, all the time.
Even though I am coming to terms with my work, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a lifelong thing to understand. So I had this client once who helped animals, and she crossed over, and she was able to speak to me as a medium. And the thing that she was so yippee-yay excited about was that these animals came back to thank her
Oh,
in the heaven realm, right?
yeah.
And so it's like everything you do, every action you take to help any other living being on its journey is a reward for you when you cross over. And then you begin to really see what that was worth.
Yeah.
If you can't see your own worth here, you will see it there because you're made to feel the feelings that you bring upon other people.
Yeah.
So, if you live a life and you're humble and you just go around helping people and quiet, you'll at least get that thanks back when you cross over. But wouldn't it be great if you could accept it while you're still here
Yeah.
and really build on it and really know your own worth before you pass?
Yeah.
So you're going to get it either way. So I'm comforted by that, right? I'll know the true things that I influence when I get there, when I get back home. But it'll be great if people tell me here and I can just accept that.
Accept it.
You know?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, this was beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. I think you gave so much gold nuggets and insights to our journey and the
Mhm.
things we experienced, to listening to our soul's calling and knowing that, our soul will not shut up. It'll keep going, keep harping on us to do what we need to do because
Yeah.
it knows as
Almost
long
like
as we
it's
can look at
running
it.
around with cymbals, like, dang.
Yeah.
Like, I
So,
really
like,
feel
don't
like
numb
it will
it.
start screaming. Yes, don't numb it.
Yeah, yeah. So don't numb it. Listen and do the hard things. Like, I think you shared just a brief piece of that story, especially the one with you and your wife coming together and getting married. That's such a brave and empowering story where you really had to trust and listen. And I love that you used the word, you needed it. Like, you needed her, you needed that love. And I love
Yeah.
that you said that I needed that, because a lot of people struggle with even saying, I need this, right? We
Right.
struggle to express what we need.
Yeah.
But your soul
Right.
knew you needed that. You knew you needed it, and you were not going to let that go. And so I think that was so brave
Mhm.
to step forward, knowing that, like you said, you might overturn carts, like you're going to upset people, but it didn't
But,
matter because this is what you
this is what
needed.
I had to have. You made a point earlier about testing love. So
Oh, yeah.
if my wife were sitting here, she would be like, yeah, we did get married, but I
Yeah.
mean, testing love is, if you have parent abandonment, you will test the love
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
children don't know how to understand that it really actually wasn't them that their parent was running away from, right?
Yeah.
The parent wasn't necessarily running away from the child. But my father, bless his heart, he would constantly say to me that my mom left me. He would say, your mother left you. He did that. And later in my 20s, I screamed at him for that. But he got the message. But, like, I was ingrained with that your mom left you narrative. And that did leave me with well, if my own mother didn't love me, then how do I actually know that anyone else ever will? And am I worthy? Like, was there something?
Yeah.
And I don't think this is even something that people verbalize or vocalize or even see as thoughts in their head. It's just a way of being,
Yeah.
right? It's not something that I broke down and diagnosed. I just didn't trust love. And I just
Yeah.
didn't really understand why until later, right?
Mm.
So when we don't trust love, we do test it, and we can actually squeeze the oxygen and the life out of it. And you will meet people with these abandonment issues who have strangled the life out of every person that's tried to love them over and over and over again. There will be a line of carnage behind them.
Yeah.
So that is important. Like, testing the love is not necessary in the way that, to the extremes that people with these abandonment issues are doing, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's like, wake up. You gotta wake up. Like, she loves you or
Yes.
he loved you.
Yeah.
If you can't accept this, if you can't work on yourself and accept it, you will smother it. You
Yep.
will kill it.
Yep.
It is possible to kill it.
Yeah.
So that's when you want to catch somebody before they kill it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was one of my lessons, thinking back to some of the things that me and my husband went through, I felt like it wasn't until I was actually like feeling like I was going to lose him to where I was like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like I couldn't see all the ways he was trying to love me. It was like I don't know. But I'm thankful for the wake up call I got. But even still, now that things are like, really going well, there's like this connection that's really coming to light. I'm able to see it better now. It is so scary and terrifying. And I'm finally realizing like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been afraid of. Like, I'm so afraid of things being good or to like actually see this love. It's really hard.
With Jen, she just would not take no for an answer. I mean, in the beginning, she ran from me, and that running was her own healing work that had to happen. And also the running was the result of what I had done in a past life to her soul. And so I went for a past life regression to understand that better. Like, we attacked this like we were like prize fighters in the ring. We saw each other and immediately got to work. Like, if you really rise above the whole earth play, the theater of earth, if you really rise above it, like, I'm really proud of the work we did as souls, because we fixed a lot of things that went wrong in an old lifetime. And in this lifetime, it really is about communication and love and tenderness and affection and understanding. Like, when I tell people that my wife sees me with a depth that no one else on this entire earth has ever seen me, except maybe my grandmother who raised me. When I tell people that, I mean it. We have a connection that is so deep and powerful. And so when I tried to test her, when I went through my repeated efforts to be like, oh, let me see if I do this, will she run? She just was like, I don't know what it's going to take, but I'm not going anywhere. She literally was like, do whatever you want to do. I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
She must have said that to me, I don't know, a dozen times. Say whatever you want to say. I'm not going anywhere. And I finally was like, well, shit, I can't even make her leave. So she does love me.
Yeah.
It was really powerful, the healing that brought forward for me, because I finally learned what unconditional love really meant. There is nothing that she would stop loving me over. I mean, we even talked about the big one. I was like, well, what if I had an affair? Like, I'm not going to do that, but what if I did? And she goes, I can't erase loving you. I might be mad at you, but I can't stop loving you over it. It's still unconditional love.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And so if a parent doesn't give that to you, a spouse definitely can, if you allow them.
Yes. Absolutely. I like that.
My wife is my superhero.
That's amazing. That's so beautiful. I think that's just an incredible story. And that in itself should give people hope that, like, your person's out there, and it's about letting yourself be seen. And
we met at work. So it was almost like that we designed this plan so that we could not get away from each other. It's like, you're going to fix it because you cannot avoid each other.
Yeah.
And we met during the recession. Like, we met in 2010. So even then, we couldn't leave our job because we wouldn't have got another one, right? We had to stay right where we were. And we had to work side by side. And so even on days when I could not stand her, I had to be in this ER working side by side with her in trauma. It was bonkers. But we designed it so that we couldn't escape it. And I think that's really smart on a soul level.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, I just want to thank you again so much for making the time to be on the show and to give such amazing insights. I think this was such an incredible, beautiful conversation. And I feel like there's so much more we can talk about. So I look forward to having you on, again.
Yes.
And I will be sharing all of your contact information. So if those are interested in wanting to do a session with you, Heather is so amazing at what she does. She's so talented and does some really awesome things. So I'll give your information out there for anyone who wants to look you up and get in contact with you.
Well, and Chelsea, thanks for having me. And thank you for being just someone who's willing to share your own story too. It takes a lot of courage and bravery to share our healing journeys. And one of the reasons you and I hit it off is because yours is so powerful and so similar to mine.
So similar.
Right back at you, babe, is what I would say to that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think it's incredible, just the people that get, placed along your path, and ours was definitely on purpose, 100%. I'm so blessed to know you, and I really appreciate you and the time we get to spend together and everything. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today on the Heart AF podcast. Please share this episode with anyone you can think of that may need a little hope and encouragement right now. If you are interested in booking a session with Heather or learning more about her and her work, you can find her at her website at heatherposey-ware.com, which is linked in the episode description. I love connecting with my listeners, so feel free to message me any questions or feedback. If you tag me in your social posts or stories, I will give you a shout out and repost on mine. I can't wait to be back with you next week. Until then, keep choosing love, keep choosing hope, and let's live heart as fuck.